Hello, my name is Deb Guthman, and I've worked with deaf people in different settings for more than 40 years. I've been a teacher, a counselor, an administrator. Most of my work has been focused on substance use disorder within the deaf community. And you may wonder how I got involved in that area. I actually started my career as an itinerant teacher. And I remember one student that I had. He was the first person who was accepted in the Institute of Technology at the University of Minnesota. It's a huge university with over 50,000 students. So anyway, he went to college there, and about the same time, I happened to start working as a counselor at the University of Minnesota with deaf students. And one time his parents contacted me, and apparently he was arrested for public intoxication. He was a shy kind of student, not someone you would expect to have that kind of situation and hanging out in a biker bar drinking alcohol often and then being arrested. His parents had gotten in contact with me and told me that many members of their family were chronic alcoholics and had died. It was a serious problem in their family. So they wanted help finding some kind of treatment for his alcohol abuse. I looked as much as I could, and there were no in-depth programs within our area or the United States. I found a program that at that time would provide 10 days of treatment with interpreter services, which was not enough. So then I started working in 1989 as the first director at the Minnesota Substance Use Disorder Treatment Program for deaf people. And who would show up while I was working there but that student seeking treatment? And ever since I left the program, I would think about him and wonder what happened with him. And there had been no services for deaf people for so long. It was so exciting that he ended up going through the treatment program many years ago. And I guess it was about 1999 when he went through the program. Well, it happened that in 2020, I got an email from that same person who happened to have been in contact with a colleague of mine and was able to get in touch with me. And he wanted me to know that he had been sober since 1999 when he went through treatment. So it was wonderful to see that the program had really worked for him. So most of my experience has really been working with and developing materials and curriculum related to substance use disorder focused work, and trying to help with the barriers that exist and get more options for deaf people. You may wonder how many deaf people actually have issues with drug and alcohol. When we talk about the hearing population, we know that approximately 1 in 10 hearing people have issues with drugs and alcohol. We assume that because of increased risk factors with deaf people, that we would see more than 1 in 10 deaf people with issues, but we don't have a lot of research to back that up. During the class, we'll be talking about some research that's been validated with deaf people that does indicate that there's more risk for deaf people, but it's a small study. We don't have a lot of specialized treatment programs for deaf people. In fact, there's actually less than 4 in the United States. And when I say specialized treatment, I mean staff who are fluent in sign language and deaf people themselves in treatment, full access, 24 hours a day in a residential treatment program. Most of the programs, if they're mainstreamed, they provide interpreters for limited hours each day, which is not satisfactory to meet the needs of many deaf people. So there are many barriers that deaf people face, and we really need to work together to overcome those. Now, with COVID, some barriers, for example, became a positive. For instance, typically we have few 12-step meetings available, but now because of Zoom options and things being online, we actually have more options for more deaf people to participate in 12-step meetings than ever before. And we'll talk more about that when we talk about barriers.